There's an old saying that no good deed goes unpunished, and in this case, it certainly is true. 10 years ago, I did redistricting as chair of the Senate Redistricting Committee, and it was a really great experience. I had a lot of fun doing it. I learned an awful lot. As you know, every 10 years, the federal government does a census. After that, we have to redraw the boundary lines of our state rep, state senate, and governor's council districts, and also draw a new congressional map. And 10 years ago, the population in Massachusetts had dropped, but not enough to actually lose a congressional seat. And of course, you don't lose any state rep or state senate seats because the Constitution says 160 reps and 40 senators. The only thing that changes are the boundaries. And you have to think about a number of things when you're drawing those boundary lines. First of all, you seek equal population. All parts of the district have to touch another part of the district. You're trying to make them as compact as you can, if possible. You look out for communities of interest, groups of communities that are naturally belong together because they work together, they're in the same county, same geography, they may be on the same road system, they may share regional schools. So you try to keep like communities together, communities that have something in common, something of interest. You also look for tradition. Communities that have been in this district for generations, well, you try to keep them in that district if you can into the future. And you also have to consider the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which sought to protect the interests of African Americans, Asians, and Latinos to ensure that you ended up with districts that didn't artificially pack minorities into districts so that you would limit their influence on other districts, or disperse them into too many districts so that they couldn't potentially have the opportunity to elect a person of their own race to the legislature. And so for the last 50 years or so, we've had to watch out when we do redistricting to ensure that we observe the spirit and the letter of the Voting Rights Act law. And so 10 years ago, it was very exciting because Massachusetts' population of minorities had grown to the point where in the Boston area, it was actually possible to have 2 state Senate districts that would provide the opportunity to elect minorities. For the last 40 or so years, African Americans have been elected out of one of the districts in Boston regularly, and continuously there was an African American in the state Senate from that district. And, but the minority population had grown enough in the city that we were able to actually create a second minority-majority district. In addition, because, again, that same population growth in the Boston area was such that we were actually able, for the first time in history, to draw a minority-majority district for Congress, which turned out to be the 8th congressional district currently occupied by Mr. Capuano of Somerville. And so it was a very exciting process that we went through. We developed great relationships with community organizations and really worked hard to make sure that we created decent maps and also adhered to both the spirit and the letter of the Voting Rights Act. And the result was that the 3 maps that the Senate drew, the Governor's Council map, the State Senate map, and the Congressional map, none of those were challenged in court, which is quite unusual. 42 states went to court last time. They were challenged in court on their maps, and a majority had to redraw one or more of the maps that were taken to court. So it's quite usual to be taken to court, but we have a sense of pride that we were able to create 2 maps that had a significant change that related to adherence to the Voting Rights Act, and neither of those maps were challenged, nor was the Governor's Council map. Well, we're at it again, and the map you see over my shoulder is not the new map, so don't get too excited. That is the existing congressional map. We've lost a congressional seat because our population grew, but not as fast as the rest of the country. So we have a real challenge on our hands to try to preserve the 2 congressional seats here in Western Mass, and 3 if you include the central Western Mass area of Worcester heading west. And we will be debating these maps sometime over the next couple of months, and so stay tuned. And if you haven't done so yet, feel free to go to our website. Just Google Massachusetts State Legislature, navigate your way to the legislative website, and there you'll find a website specifically for redistricting. Click on redistricting, and you'll find court cases, analysis, historic maps, and even software to draw your own congressional and state Senate and House of Representatives districts. And if you have some thoughts, please share them with us through the comment section, because you will be emailing directly to the committee through the website if you choose to communicate with us. So stay tuned. It's going to be a rocky season.